Bearcat Bounce Podcast back at it again. Happy Monday, guys. It is a Monday where the Bearcat basketball team is still playing basketball in March. That's right. It is the NIT, but they are now in the Elite Eight of the NIT. If there's a tournament, we might as well win it. We're going to dive into the win against Bradley and the upcoming tussle in Indiana State. That's right. Terre Haute, TT alliteration. And also, it is a Monday following yet another week of practice for the football team, year 2 spring ball. Also, a little practice today. We've got the fresh thoughts on that as well. It's also Monday. We're going to bring in my guys, pals, squad, crew. There's 3 of us right now. There will be a 4th. He'll be here in about 2 minutes. But without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, gentlemen, how are we? Oh, there's only one.
Apparently we lost Chad.
And then there was one. That book. You ever read it?
There's Chad. I think I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Just getting a little tweet fired up and ready to go. Getting some people in here to watch the show. You know how we do.
Yeah.
It was a good day. It was a delightful afternoon at Nippert Stadium.
Yeah.
A little 65, 70 degree weather.
Oh yeah.
Those will work when you don't have an indoor facility.
Right.
I'll take all of those.
Yeah.
So it's a good one.
Beautiful weather at Nippert. Beautiful weather in Athens. Beautiful weather in Indy. We're slowly morphing into spring ball, spring training. Opening day, Aaron. This week, we're on Thursday. Gosh, that's got to have you feeling a little excited, a little pumped. But how are we, Aaron? How are you, sir?
I was probably more excited about opening day about a month ago before the injuries started piling up and an 80-game suspension for the top rookie. But yeah, I mean, great day, beautiful weather. Got out a little bit, had to do some grocery shopping and made some pork chops for dinner, and the baby was good, so all was well.
What are you, pork chops on the grill? What do you do with those?
Well, being that I have to run after a 2-year-old and Rachel doesn't get home.
Little oven boy?
Crock pot.
Oh, crock pot pork chops. Interesting.
Yeah. Whatever gets the job done.
Yeah, do those suckers fall? What?
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
They're boneless, so
okay.
Put them over some mashed potatoes and yeah, it was fire.
Chad, it's a little stew in Athens right there, baby. That's a little tasty. Don't mind it. But yeah, man. And also it's a little road trip to Terre Haute, Indiana, about 3.5 hours out of Cincy. If you're gonna make that trip, the smartest thing to do before you make the trip would probably go get your oil change, I would say. Maybe see if you need your tires rotated, right, Joe? Is that what it's called? Tires rotation, something along those lines. Just head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe will hook you up. Joe texted me today, seeing if I was going to the game. I will not be there, sadly. Got an early flight on Wednesday, but Joe will be there. So if you head there, maybe see Danco Joe, say, hey, listen, I need that oil change. I need that $10 off. I need that 10% off a new fender, a new transmission. Sure. Get it figured out. Hit up Danco Joe. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We love you, Joe. Thank you so much. Well, guys, we'll dive right into it. Elite 8 of the NIT is up next. I've already mentioned the road trip to Indiana State coming tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Chad's got some wide eyes right now.
My alma mater forced Dan D'Antonio out. Or D'Antoni.
I saw that. Yeah. Marshall making moves. The thundering herd.
I was talking about that job with somebody last week. And they thought, he would get to decide when it was time to hang him up and retire. Okay. But it does not sound like the case. It's a decent job.
Yeah.
They've had it rolling quite a few times there. So yeah, first I had seen it. Came home from practice, fixed a little burger action for myself, and then wrote the practice notes, and then we started the podcast. So
So now you're saying it.
I haven't been twittering for a couple hours.
I see that. I see Marshall. The first thing I think about is that game back in, what was it, 2017? Yeah, that was a doozy. December 22nd. So I did one of those things for that game. Just real quick aside, where you record the game at home and you tell yourself you're going to do your duties of the night. I was broadcasting high school basketball at the time, and so I thought, record it. I won't get any notifications. Turn everything off, and I just slowly, randomly heard someone say, "Is Marshall gonna beat Cincinnati?" And I was like, "Whoa, okay." I was a little frustrated. That was one hell of a rewatch. Let's just say that. And bank in by Jacob Evans, little magic in overtime, high scoring victory, one that the Bearcats pulled out, a lot like what happened on last week against San Francisco in overtime, but not quite so on Saturday. But we've got a new guy in the room. Gotta say hello, Mr. Royer, Ryan, sir. How are we?
Doing good, guys. Coming off a nice weekend. Big win for the boys. Yeah. Nice Monday. Good start to the week.
Did you go for a run or something?
No, I got out of work a little later, so I worked out, showered up, get ready for the second workout of the night on here.
Hey now.
Working out the Bearcat muscles.
Those BCJ Bearcat muscles. Baby P, baby. But yeah, we're about to dive right into that game. I would argue one of the best performances of the season. Probably one of the most efficient performances of the season. 74-57 final. Of course, all Bearcat fans will point to one thing in this game, and I'm just going to go ahead and say the quote. It's obviously it was a thrilling victory, one that was high scoring, one that had numerous players scoring in double figures. But if there was one thing in particular to take out, it'd be what Bradley head coach Brian Wardell said. And I think it was pretty on the money. He says, "I respect these men playing college basketball, and now it's professional basketball with the way things are." Day Thomas, speaking of Day, is a great defender. There's no doubt about that. Every single person will agree with that. I was scared Jizzle James was going to play a lot more today, and to be quite honest, that is because he can get going offensively and be a problem, and he was today. He is a dynamic player that can really score. Mentioned that he was a freshman. He's going to have some freshman lapses, but it's scary when you have a guy like that knows that they're going to get playing extended minutes and he can get going, and he did. Jizzle James was special. I don't think there's any other way to put it. Jizzle James had a fantastic game, one where he picked and chose his spots, had that mid-range jumper falling, and when you have a coach like Brian Wardell who played at Marquette, played professionally, played at Fifth Third Arena back in, what was that, 2001, I think was when he last graduated for the Golden Eagles. So
he was the best player on those Marquette teams, a couple of those Marquette teams. He's really good.
He was. Sharpshooter was a really good player, but you take that man's opinion on things and you kind of run with it. Guys that, I know obviously Chad, you and Aaron had the nightcap, but here on the BBP, just impressions on Jizzle James and what he was able to do. Career high 25 points, only one turnover in 38 minutes, another career high, well, season high, if you will. He just kind of did his thing that we've seen in spurts, and the first time that we've seen it over a long extended time.
You guys want to go, or you want me to lead off? I don't care either way.
I can.
Aaron, you're the Jizzle guy. You go.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, he addressed the question to you. Anyway. It makes me wonder what might have happened if you had given him any starts at all throughout the season. Although his defense started off a little slow in this game, and then it picked up, and he didn't look like such liability. And whether that is that they made up for deficiencies because he was with the ones as opposed to coming in with the backups, or the fact that his defense has improved over the course of the season. Either way, this is where we are, and I thought it was fantastic to see him take full advantage of the minutes that he was given. 38 minutes, a little over that, over the course of a 40-minute game, and he impressed everyone. Efficient with his shot, as you kind of alluded to. 11 of 17, 2 of 5 from behind the arc. Made his only free throw. 3 rebounds. Only 1 assist. As a point guard, you probably need to get some assist numbers up, but the offense flowed well. Only 1 turnover. He had a block. I mean, he did everything that you asked and probably then some. So,
yeah, I'd agree with the
Royer?
and then some part. I agree with the and then some part, and I think it kind of cemented him with that like 1 year ahead of schedule pace that he's been kind of like flirting with all year. It's like that every time he'd play, like that kid's not a freshman. You could just tell he's got like just a little bit more shit to him. He just the mid-range game, attacking the rim fearlessly, and this kind of when you saw him like get to go all in, like he gets all the minutes, he kind of like he did exactly what you thought he would do, but he took it to another level, and that's why I thought that he like is just something special. Like you don't see a freshman like really step up like that and take control of his first start and dominate both just on the stat sheet points, but just dominate in the way that the style that he plays at, aggressive, fast. Like when you have a freshman that plays like that, you know that the ceiling's just astronomical. And like when I'm watching him play, I'm like, this is the kind of kid who can put a program on his back, kind of like how Gary Clark did a couple of years ago. And I think he has that type of potential. I really do. I think he's special. And just watching him step up in his moment like that, I was like, yes, this is a future star of not only like Cincinnati, I think of this league. And I know we've been saying that for weeks. And I think just right when the spotlight gets shine on him the brightest, like he takes it to another level. So I was really happy. It just excited was just the word that just kept going through my head watching him play. Just excited for his future.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would caution is that he had a guy on him that just couldn't guard him. Like that poor kid, he had a rough day. Like he had, especially early, he had open looks where he could have got going and made things in I forget his name, the little point guard.
Yeah.
He had a couple
Hickman?
open looks. No, Hickman's the combo guard.
Oh,
Hickman's like 6'1", 6'2". This kid was like 5'8". The little
Duke Dean.
Duke Dean.
he was like Bryce Burton.
Hickman? You thought Hickman looked like Bryce Burton?
Height-wise, yeah.
But like Duke Dean, who's a good player, but he didn't have a good night. He had open looks early. He couldn't hit them. And then that led to, I think it was 2 for 10. I don't have the stats
He was.
in front of me.
He was
anymore.
super. Yeah.
He had a bad night offensively, and he had no chance guarding Jizzle James.
He normally
He was
averages
not strong
14
enough.
a game, just for
Yeah.
reference. Yeah.
Yeah. And I, like Aaron said, Jizzle started rough defensively, but I thought he got a lot better doing what they were asking him to do as a defender later in the game, especially in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to go completely out over my skis yet. Obviously, it was exciting.
Right.
But he clearly had a kid on him that had no chance to stop him.
Yeah.
They were not doing like, and there's very little you can do when he has it cooking like that.
Right.
When he has that mid-range, it's like there's a homing missile.
Yeah.
On that thing in the bottom of the net.
It's insane.
Like he doesn't get a lot of arc on it. It is not like,
And he's always like fading away too. Kind of has like a vintage LeBron look to him.
It's not something you would teach in an instructional video.
And Dean's 5'8", so like Jizzle in his mind was like, I have literal air.
This kid's done.
Yeah.
He's got no shot.
Right.
And he didn't. He's not tall, he's not strong, and Jizzle is, adequate height for a point guard and is very, very strong. That kid had no shot. But you give him credit because it was there. I think what worked also in Jizzle's favor, Simas was blazing hot in the first half.
Yeah.
And Dan was outstanding in the second half. And Jizzle kind of was that bridge where he was able to be good in the first half, carry that over into the second half, and it like bridged that essentially what a 32-point performance combined from Dan and Seamus. Actually, probably more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
37.
Yeah,
37. Yeah, I was. So that's what a dynamic offensive team looks like, right? You have three guys. One of them is hot in the first half. One of them is hot in the second half. And then your point guard bridges the gap between the two of them with 12 here and 13 there, or whatever the breakdown was. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see him continuing to get better at the end of his freshman year, because the alternate in that, there's a lot of freshmen around the country that played quality minutes that you get to the end of the season and they hit the wall.
Yeah.
They haven't played this many games. They're not used to, the stress and the strain that comes with this much basketball over the course of a college season. I think you have to give Wes a little credit there too. This kid is not out of gas.
No,
like he is playing strong. And I mean, I think the coach does deserve at least a little bit of that credit.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys on the team that I think they're not falling off. I think they're getting better throughout the year as we need to lean on them more and more. So I think
Hey,
Wes
Ryan.
gets credit across. What's that?
They've won 6 of 8. Winning makes that attitude a little bit easier, don't it? Winning makes that attitude a little bit easier, don't it?
They're winning because they're playing better. Like
absolutely.
Like you see Seamus turn into a guy that we thought was gonna be like, all right, let's get 10 out of him a night, a couple boards, couple assists, be a good like experienced game manager, and now he's turning into like a
killer.
I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, like, or just he can score from anywhere on the court, and he's like we can literally like just give him the ball and we can ride with him. And then you have Dan, who's just so raw, and just like even if he's like missing a shot, he's just crashing down and rebounding it and just making plays. But even with Dan, you're thinking, well, Dan's only going to get more comfortable with another year of basketball next year,
right?
And he's going to get better. He's going to get a better. His shot will be better. He'll just be less like chaotic, out of control sometimes that we saw. I thought there was a lot of times in the game with Dan that he could have, like, he creates he gets to the rim effortlessly. I think there's a couple times a game where he can make so much better of a play by kicking it out to the corner three or dishing it back out top or just looking to pass the ball instead of like kind of losing control as he goes up to the rim. You don't think so?
He didn't come here to pass. I think so.
But
I agree with you.
Just imagine how much
he didn't come here to pass, bro. What's it?
I think that's something he can learn.
He didn't come here to pass.
He can learn that though, man. He's so raw.
Kyle Washington, we always used to joke that about. He didn't come here to pass.
Yeah. Yep. So I actually dove in a little bit more. The 6-2 over their last 8. So you dive in further on that. Jizzle is averaging 12 points in those 8 games, shooting 48.3% from the field, but 59.7% from 2-point range. So is his patented, little jumper in the.
Yeah, it's not all layups. That's what's super impressive. He's not just shooting layups from 2. He's shooting a mass volume of 13 to 17 footers.
Exactly, like near 60%. That's insane inside of the arc. In that same span, Dan Skillings is averaging 17 points per game and adding in 6 rebounds per game as well, getting it going on the defensive end. 1.7 blocks, 1.7 steals, 0.7 blocks. He's also shooting 56.7% inside of the arc. So just really getting it done. And then of course, Seamus averaging 15.8 points per game in that same span and shooting 41.3% from 3 and just literally 3.5 assists, 3 rebounds, even chipping in on that front, and only 1.6 turnovers per game over the last 8. That's a core that is figuring it out and getting it going at the right time. 6 of 8. These are teams. Now you're playing an Indiana State team that probably should have been in the tournament based off of just net numbers. Obviously, the wins didn't really pile up too much for them throughout the entire time. But you're seeing these 3 really have that step up, just like you guys have been mentioning. And Jizzle was the catalyst on Saturday, but you have 17 of Dan's 20 points coming in the second half. It's hard to really mimic how good those 3 have been in certain times throughout the final stretches of the season. And that's going to be exactly what you need heading into next year and heading into the off season, is just having that core continue to grow and continue to produce together. Because right now they're all scorching hot. There's no further way to describe it.
Well, I mean, it's what we've kind of talked about all season, right, Brent? Like if they had an alpha, they'd win more games. And those 3 guys have stepped up to like kind of trade off that alpha role. And all of a sudden they've won 6 of 8. I don't think that's coincidence at all.
No, not one bit. Absolutely not.
So, yeah. What's up, guys?
All right. What's up, guys? How we doing? Yeah. So it was a great win. Obviously, the other thing we need to mention from the victory was the awesome moment for John Newman reaching that 1,000th career point. He wanted to keep us all on our edge of the seats in the San Francisco game by not scoring a point, and then wanted to make sure we still were on the edge of our seats, scoring exactly 6 points to hit that 1,000 career mark. Your guys' thoughts on the ovation? I know, Chad, you were there with me, and we kind of saw it in person. It was pretty awesome to see. How did the broadcast do, giving that moment to the masses?
Yeah, I mean, he got his flowers. It seemed an awkward time to do it. I feel like they maybe should have waited until like the next break in the game.
We didn't plan on that, Aaron.
I understand.
That was just the crowd reaction. The crowd reacted to it.
You don't have to do it right then and there either, though. You could have waited to put it on the board until the timeout and then recognize it officially.
Well, I think it was just like they put it up like that was John Newman's 1,000th point. They weren't doing it to like stop the action, but then the crowd
read the room.
Okay, sure.
I mean, that's what you're going to get when you put that up there. It's just, I think that they should have waited until the timeout to say, and that last free throw, John Newman gets his 1,000th point. Or
right, they didn't do that. They just put a graphic up that said that was John Newman's 1,000th point.
And what did you expect? Of course, you're going to get a standing ovation at that point in time.
I think you would expect like a round of applause, but not a roaring 90-second standing ovation. It was unexpected. The reason we're praising it is because even that was it went above and beyond. And I think it surprised everybody.
I was not surprised in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
You asked for my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I was not surprised.
Okay.
If you had told me that he's going to get 1,000 points in this game, I would have said he's going to get a long standing ovation. And that's how it played out.
Even the Bradley fans were getting really ruckus into it too. So it was cool, definitely. If it was a high Big 12 match, I don't know if they would wait until the next time out to say something or not. But yeah, I think it wasn't expected for everyone to really get that loud and cheer them on, because I think last year there was 3 or 4 different dudes that hit the 1,000-point mark. DDJ hit it with 1,000 points as Bearcat. Micah hit it. Jeremiah hit it. So like I don't quite remember any of the ovations being as loud as long as
they had done this before, and it did not get that. I think it was this fan base showing appreciation for how hard John Newman played this year, for how much of a Bearcat that dude was.
There were times with both Davenport and Micah that they were pariahs.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me that they didn't receive the same ovation.
Aaron, there were also people a year ago today that were saying you have to get rid of John Newman. He cannot be on this roster going forward.
Yep, I get it.
He was an injury waiting to happen.
He's never going to finish the season. He's, Wes whiffed on everybody that he brought in when he first got here. Blah, 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 blah.
I got one other thing to say about Jizzle real quick. Royer, I'm going to bring you in on this one. When you kind of have that understanding, say a coach comes up to you pregame and says, "Hey, you're getting the start today. Just be ready, locked in." Is there kind of a different mentality that you take on when you know that you're going to have a heightened role and hey, this is, or does it take a certain amount of gonads to be like, okay, it's time for me to step up when some others might be nervous when the added attention, the added spotlight gets brought onto you?
The only example I could give you of me was when I got to start on kickoff one time because Alec got hurt. So you're not asking. You're not asking.
I meant more so like Kobe Bryant and Arquan Bush, the Peach Bowl when Ahmad was ruled out. Kind of approaching them.
It's kind of like, oh, it's go time. Like you don't really have time. You don't have time to be scared. If you are, then you're not really meant for it. And I think that's kind of like exactly the kind of performance Jizzle gave. It's like he's meant for this. Like he's a big time moment guy. He's a guy that can step up, and I predict that's the kind of player we're going to get for the next, hopefully, as many years as we can get out of him before he skedaddles on over to the league. So,
what do you guys think of his comment in the post game? Chad, I want to hear it. It's just funny looking back on it, and I think it was just Jizzle kind of just saying what was on the top of his mind when he was asked about his career high and scoring points. He's like, he said, I just wanted to get my teammates involved and slowly find my parts to get going as well. And I mean, yes, I get it in a sense, but Jizzle's a scorer. You know what I mean? He's getting himself going, and I don't know. I just thought
sure, but in the context of that game, what sparked them early? Seamas hit a three, John hit a three.
Yeah,
Seamas hit another. I think he had three in the first 2 segments.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so
I guess that's right.
Jizzle didn't really get cooking right away because he didn't have a bunch of shot attempts. Mm-hmm. Mainly because everybody else was making whatever they threw at the rim except Dan in the first half. And then Dan made everything in the second half. So he did he wasn't maybe the pull the trigger assist guy, but he wasn't doing a lot of dribbling, hunting his shot early in the game, which is probably what he was referencing.
Yeah. And I guess it's not, I just said that just because of obviously just one assist, but
no, I'm just breaking down. That's probably where his brain was at, was that early the offense wasn't running necessarily through him like it was the more and more he got hot, the more and more. Look, man, if you're a scorer and all of a sudden you keep seeing that ball go through the net, you know what you're doing the next time down? I think I'm gonna try to get me another one of those.
Right. Exactly.
There you go. I've never felt that. That was never something that I experienced.
You never played 2K back in the day, man? Come on.
No, I'm talking about playing basketball.
Little fire emoji,
Green
Jam. He's on fire. But one other thing, and not necessarily a bad note to say, but only outside of those big three scorers, only 12 combined points out of everyone else. Obviously, without Day, you're adding Jizzle into the starting lineup and whatnot. You didn't get much pop out of Jamil. Vic with a DNP. Josh hit a couple shots. Aziz was, not necessarily his best offensive night by any stretch. And I guess it's kind of that secondary thing. Was it just a case where those three were kind of on and you just ride those hot hands? Or do you think the lack of production just offensively out of the other guys is kind of something to take a look at? Yeah. Well, what do you guys think?
I don't know what's happening with. I guess Chad froze and Ryan left.
Oh, dude. Well, I thought everyone was just blindly looking at the screen. I was like, what's going on here? But no, okay. Well, what are your okay? I think we got everyone back. That was weird.
I don't know what happened there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I literally thought everyone was just like staring at me, and I was like, really? We're just gonna. I was like, well, I'll have a stare down, but then Chad was frozen, and then Roy, are you like disconnected? Hey, we're back.
All right. What was the question, Brent?
Drew? Hold on. First off, Drew, if you're gonna criticize me, spell my name right. First, one.
Brendal.
Two. Yeah, I gave Jizzle a ton of credit. There are also other nuances that we have to talk about that we talk about with every player. Like, it's not perfect. Instead of, and what happens when Aziz got eligible? Everybody had Aziz as a lottery pick, and Cincinnati is a lock tournament team. That's not how it happened. It played out a little differently than that. There are ebbs and flows. There are ups and downs. When our job is to break down and analyze what we saw. What I saw was Jizzle dominating a guy he should have dominated. I don't think that's taking anything away from Jizzle. That's giving him credit. He was physically superior to the guy across from him, and he kicked his ass.
Yeah, well,
that's what he should do.
You do have to.
But we also should talk about that he was physically more gifted than the guy that was guarding him.
Well, give flowers also because earlier in the year he had that one game where he had put two guys on skates with a crossover. He's been able to get that separation throughout the season, but it was more so evident in this game where it was kind of like he flipped a switch and just took it to the next.
And he was given 38 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And he did a great job with it. Like he did a phenomenal job with it. And look, he doesn't get 38 minutes if he doesn't improve on defense throughout the game like he did. Because guess what? If that kid got going, who averages 15 points a game, and he was at 17, 18, 21, whatever points, matching Jizzle, Wes would have had to have come up with something else. That didn't happen. He's getting a ton of flowers.
I don't know if he would have really had many options at that point, but it's
fair. But you're gonna at least like explore something else if that is the guy that's cooking you.
If you put in CJ Anthony, you might as well sign his NIL papers yesterday. You know what I mean?
And
like,
it might not even have been minutes, Aaron, but like what their defense is, how they're adjusting to. Do they, if he's getting cooked, do they have to sit in zone, or do they stop?
Slide
going
Jizzle
with
off
their
ball
primary coverage, right? Like
at the end of the day, I can't think of many more than maybe 3 Big 12 point guards that could guard Jizzle James. Like as things currently stand, I
think of 2 right off the top of my head.
Iowa State and Houston come right off the top of my head, but outside of that, who else is going to guard Jizzle James?
I mean, it's not like he dominated the Big 12 in his 20 minutes a game.
Right, because he played 20 minutes a game.
Jizzle did pop off for 16 against Iowa State, but
he wasn't ever going to get 25 playing 20 minutes a game.
I know, but there were a lot of games he got 2, Aaron, or 4. Like there were plenty of guys that successfully guarded Jizzle James throughout the Big 12. Like that's the kind of hyperbole that I'm trying to like guard against when it comes to raising expectations for him, as they should be raised.
He's raised the bar.
As they should be raised. But let's not. There's only 2 guards in the Big 12 that can guard Jizzle James. That's I don't agree with that.
Danco Joe from the top rope. Gotta love that.
Am I not seeing something's going on with StreamYard tonight?
Yeah, because I posed a question and we were at a standstill. Like I was like, are we gonna fight? Like what is going on here? But
I was talking, and then all of a sudden I got little circles from everybody. Okay, now the chat is catching up.
Yeah,
Bro, what was your question originally?
What you talking about, Willis? Isn't that what Gary Coleman says?
Yeah, Gary Coleman.
There we go. All right,
What you
cool.
talking about, Willis?
Yeah, what you talking about, Will? Well, Royer. So what I was saying before, we all got pushed to an alternate universe.
The EMP hit.
The when we had to figure something out with life. Vic a DNP, Jamil 0 points, Aziz not productive offensively, complete lack of any post game. Is that just a scenario where three hands were hot, they rode the three hands, or is that something where you need to start to kind of look a little, pull the curtain back a little bit more?
I think until Jamil became like more comfortable, like finally getting back in his groove, I feel like we've had no post game, no post presence. Like it's so weird to me because like Aziz's defensive post presence is very strong and it's like on the dominant side of things. But then when it comes down to him having to have an offensive post presence, I feel like it's there, it's not there. And it's kind of like a big Achilles heel of our team. Because without like CMOS stepping up and like being able to kind of carry the load from three, like to make up for CJ Frederick or ways of that, or kind of how Dan has kind of emerged into be a little bit more of a scorer than we thought. Not having a real post threat on your team, like I think is very detrimental. I think it's been something that has hurt us a lot this year. And I think that's why when Jamil started playing better, you kind of just felt like having that was just like, oh, this is like something that we've been missing with Aziz. And I don't know if it's something that Aziz is like incapable of ever having, or if it's got to be you guys might know better than me. But it's definitely something this year that I think has been a lot less productive than what I anticipated before the season started.
I expected more from Jamil. If he's going to be your offensive, like minded big off the bench, you got to be able to come in and throw him the ball and have him get some points. He scored. How many times do you think he scored in double figures in Big 12 play, Ryan?
Once, twice. But we play Aziz so much more because like his reliability on the
earning any of those minutes.
I know. Yeah, I know. And it just it's by what's the word? Like Aziz is being forced to play more, but he's also not able to provide like a whole half of his game that we need from him.
Yeah.
And so that's why like I was like thinking about this all weekend, like God, like we literally like can't even lob him the ball to get him to score. One, because we're not good at it. Two, anytime it seems like it's in the right spot, he can't seem to finish. So it's like, I mean, that's got to be like, that's like a red alarm in this offseason is like either developing his game or finding someone that can push on Jamil and him to like have a real inside threat.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like a stretch big, someone who could shoot I don't know. I don't know if that's what we need because it seems like we're going to have a lot of offensive threats, but
I've been trying to process an opinion on this today, Graybush, thinking about it after last night and seeing Houston in an absolute desperate situation and kind of refusing to like go to Damian Dunn. Right. Like they don't have any trust at all in the kid. Mm-hmm. And he said, look at Dunn at Houston. They were studs at Temple, but below average in the Big 12. And I didn't successfully process that in my brain. I don't know what to make of it because Dunn was awesome at times at Temple.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of it, Brent, I'm interested in your answer on this. I wonder how much of it is structure. Because there's a lot more structure at Houston and Cincinnati than what we saw from Aaron McKee at Temple that kind of just like, there were plays. I'm not saying that they didn't, but a lot of it was like, go get yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you remember the Temple, what they were known for, especially Damian Dunn, was get downhill, get fouled, go to the free throw line. So yeah, when you kind of put in that structure, and Kelvin Sampson's like, listen, don't quit like trying to get downhill, not drawing a foul, and then throwing up a crazy shot. It's just a turnover. I think the big thing as well is like, it's you're going to see this in a lot of the transferring that's going on. You bring in a Damian Dunn, but you also brought in an LJ Cryer out of the transfer portal, and for the most part, it's pretty much the same position that they play. And
sure, but if Dunn was playing well, Kelvin Sampson would have found minutes for him.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I agree, but I'm just saying, like, how do players adjust if it is kind of like, okay, I'm transferring up, but I'm going to take a step down in production. Like, how do they handle that? And I don't know what's going on in Houston's locker room, but maybe Dunn, it kind of affected his mental, and so his game's off. And
I would say Houston's locker room's pretty good.
Oh, well, I meant just more so like what he personally is like in that locker room. But I think the other thing is like Dunn popped off for 17 points in their round 1 win against the 16 seed Longwood. So it's like I think the talent's there, but like it's just puzzling because I mean even Millie's stats last year, he popped off in short spurts. It was like they put him in, he'd blast off for 10 points in 8 minutes. This, that, and the other. So he has this big body transformation, and it's kind of like Wes is asking him to be that bench big and fill in more productive minutes rather than just minutes where we're going to have you just swing your body around and things of that sort. So I do think it's adjustment. And I think you saw Temple obviously fired Aaron McKee. So things weren't going well. They have all this talent there. They should have been able to figure it out. Instead, they were kind of just doing whatever they wanted. So I agree. It's frustrating watching sometimes. And then of course the whole Vic thing with, I swear the Monstars came to Fifth Third Arena one day and just the rest is history. But yeah, that's another puzzling thing because Ryan, like we were saying, that post scorer was Vic for a large chunk of the non-conference, and then the injury happened obviously, and he just has not been able to get right since. But
I think it was the sickness more than the injury. He never got.
Yeah, I meant like the sickness, but yeah, the ailment, if you will. But yeah,
he did get hurt. That's why that's why I differentiate between the two. Like he had the ankle sprain.
Right.
But once the sickness that caused him to miss a game, he just never seemed to get right.
No, not one bit.
So was it opposite with Seamas? Like him getting hit with the car kind of turned him into like a Luka Doncic type of player?
Yeah.
No, I mean he struggled for a while. Aaron still hates him from after he got hit by a car.
I said he's been playing
well.
Jeremiah
Davenport.
I think it was just it was like it had to set in for a little bit, but I think the car, we got to figure out whoever hit him and say thank you or something. Because I think
probably
they hit the Butler Bulldog out of him. They hit the Butler Bulldog out of him, man.
He's not Luka. He turns over the ball too much to be Luka, but he did get that under control here.
I think Luka turns it over too, probably. But yeah. But the thing with Seamas is, I think it's bright lights for him. Like when the bright lights turn on, he kind of morphs into this different thing. I mean, take out obviously the Baylor game, he kind of struggled a little bit shooting, but he's in a tournament setting. He's been shown to kind of turn it on and really he's found his shot big time. And I just foam at the mouth thinking about, having just his ability on
easy there, Brian.
I don't want to sound like Bill Self, but like looking to next year, you add a couple pieces and having that ability for Seamas to have even more wide open shots in an offensive set kind of just really gets you going, if you will. So
Luka averages 4 turnovers a game. If Seamas averaged 4 turnovers a game, Aaron would have an aneurysm.
Luka plays like 48 minutes.
No. You said
it's not.
You said
not apples to apples.
Said he doesn't turn it over. Luka doesn't turn it over.
Well, this is the Aaron is Wrong podcast, so that's fine.
No, it's not, Aaron.
The 1,000-point thing, Aaron. I just think they've done it. I was surprised that John. I've seen it. I've seen him do it, and John got a much different reception than the people they've done it for. That's all. I would not have expected that if you told me they're going to just put up a thing on the scoreboard. They didn't say a word. Nobody came on the mic. Like, that's what I think of when I think, if I would have thought they went at the wrong time, like the ball would have went through the net and the announcer would have came on the microphone and gone, that is 1,000 points for John Newman's career at Cincinnati. Like, they didn't do any of that. They were just like, hey, 1,000 points for John Newman. And like, it was a 90-second standing ovation. That was, I don't think anybody at UC expected a 90-second standing ovation there.
But he emulates what a Bearcat is, and you didn't have all the red sweater people down in the lower bowl, not standing. So you had the people who wanted to go see actual basketball and stand up and cheer. So in no way, shape, or form did it surprise me.
Gang.
Yeah.
It's a bit different.
Got the crowd a little lubed up. You know, it's a little Saturday afternoon. Weather's nice outside.
And I'll say, even that crowd on Saturday, I guess it was even more involved than the crowd that was there last week on Thursday night or whatever it was.
It was pretty loud. I was there.
Wednesday night at 9 o'clock.
It was still, they were into it.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect segue, because the crowd on Tuesday night at the Holman Center is going to be next level. Anything more on this game though, Bradley?
Is that a joke?
No, it's
no. Indiana State's going to be rowdy. They're playing for cream.
It's essentially going to be the biggest event in that gymnasium since Larry Bird played there.
I don't know. Maybe.
Is this a joke or not?
Yes.
No, I think the Drake game that was on ESPN that they had all this talk and publicity for, you know, I think that will be right up there in comparison to this. But yeah, this will be
bigger than playing Cincinnati in their gym for a chance to go to Hinkle.
I think the hopes were, but like they still had hopes about NCAA tournament, special season, blah blah blah. But yeah, no,
exactly.
It'd be right up there. But yeah,
Drake was not bigger than this game.
Oh, I think I'd find over 1,000 Indiana State fans that would disagree with you. But yeah, it'll be exciting. Anything more on this game? This game was awesome. It was a fun game. It was one of the most complete games of the season in my eyes. You had big time performances. Now you got to carry it on to the next game, and that is tomorrow night. A couple things about Indiana State real fast. One of the best offenses in the country. That's one thing you can always see.
Number one, I think, right now, aren't they, in efficiency?
No, they are right now. Let me see here. Sorry, I had it up. Well, so they're 18th in adjusted efficiency, but they are number one in effective field goal.
That's what it is. That's what it was. Effective field goal percentage. You're right. That's my bad.
So what they do is they shoot a crap ton of 3-pointers, a unbelievable amount. So they are number one in the country in 2-point percentage field goal wise at 62.5%, which is amazing. But they only get 43.4% of their production from 2-pointers, which means that's like one of the worst in the country. So they will fire up threes at will all the time. Great offensive set, very efficient. All 5 starters score in double figures. They all play 30 plus minutes. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4. All 5 starters shoot over 34.7% or higher. It's a team where if you let them get going from deep, they're really going to hurt you. But you can also get going on the offensive end against them because their defense kind of lacks a little bit. But you don't want to get into a running match with them because they can definitely get you going. And of course, they have the beautiful Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if you will, or you can call Missouri Valley Jokic, Robbie Avila. So it's going to be an exciting game. 9 p.m. Holman Center. Boom.
Hunter, thank you for the donation. Hunter said, glad I got to see both games in person before I left. Also saw Ryan at Adriatico Sunday, but the wife wouldn't let me say hi.
That was Wednesday. Unless you saw some lookalike on Sunday.
Saw Joe Reuter on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well,
There's Ryan.
It said Ryan, not Royer.
I know.
I actually ran into the new Riff guy on Wednesday, Chad. The guy who runs he like he I don't remember what his name was, but he said he set up the new Riff deal with you.
Okay, yeah.
Cool dude.
Did he get
There
you
you go,
some
Hunter.
Did
Yeah,
he
we
get you
went
some
out into
bourbon?
his car and just ripped a barrel.
Well, you would
Yeah.
think a guy like that, he's just got, like a case of new Riff in his car at all times.
Chad, you should know better. We're not just gonna leave our Adriatico sitting out on the table. We got to get to business.
That's fair, I guess.
Hunter got it right though. It was Wednesday. Bada
Come
bing,
say
bada-
hi next time, Hunter. Don't be afraid of the wife.
But yeah,
What was it, Brian? Is that who you ran into? Royer, Brian. Was that his name? Brian.
I
that
don't
you ran
remember.
into?
I don't remember then if he gave a name or not. I think he,
All right.
but
It's for Aaron. It's college Luka versus college Jokic.
yeah.
Indiana State's got one, and Cincinnati's got the other.
Truth.
Although CMOS does take better care of the ball than Luka does.
Yeah. Matt Lanham, yes, their coach.
He's so mad. Look at that look. He's
their
so
coach.
mad at me tonight.
Josh Schertz is getting rumored to St. Louis, right? I think that's kind of.
There's Louisville rumors now.
Oh, he's because Louisville's sending out all these names, swinging and missing. I heard Will Wade is entering the conversation as well. So,
that would be dangerous if Louisville just said, you know what, double birds. We'll wait. We don't care.
Yeah. But yes, Matt Lanham, yes, he's rumored to go many places, and the whole fan base knows it. And instead of having this like salty vibe towards it, they're more so thank you for everything you've done,
right.
And let's go out there and keep winning to kind of further solidify your legendary status here. And then Graybush Live, 100% agree. 1-4 in quad one, and the win was at Bradley, and I think in quad two they only have like 1 or 2 extra wins. That is the main thing I would say to my friend group every time they would text me and be like, so is Indiana State going to be an at-large? I was like, who did they beat? Tell me who they beat. They didn't beat anybody.
You know what they're going to send to you tomorrow if Indiana State wins? Cincinnati.
Oh, they beat Cincinnati.
Yeah. You set yourself up for that if it happens.
Right. Well, it is funny because you throw out the who did they beat? They just beat SMU and Minnesota in back-to-back games, both at home. So they're starting to pile up some, quad 2 wins, but not very challenged in the Missouri Valley Conference. Really good conference, but the best win was at Bradley, and Cincinnati just handled Bradley pretty well on Saturday. Further thoughts on Indiana State, man? They're just a thrilling offense to watch. And obviously, I was texting my buddy about them, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna really love seeing how good they are on offense." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna hate it."
We watched Baylor. Well, not the tournament team that Baylor brought to the second round. But we've seen good offense.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't BYU run a similar offense kind of to Indiana State?
Yeah, I kept thinking that Robbie Avila is kind of like like another form of Ali Khalifa from BYU, right, who kind of just Cincinnati. It took them a second to figure out Khalifa, and then they turned him over like 3 straight times in the second half. So yeah, I do see some similarities there for sure.
And this is a team Cincinnati has played.
Yep, I was gonna just bring that up next.
There's your segue, Brent. Go.
Well, the first time these two played, we had to keep it a super secret, but now we can mention a little bit about that super secret as we prepare for the game coming up tomorrow night. Chad, the secret's out. What do you remember from that time?
Nothing. They don't like to talk a lot about those because both coaches generally agree not to, disclose a lot of details.
Right.
But I was told that day Indiana State shot it well. They moved the ball. I do wonder, like, if that game did help them get ready for when they went to BYU. Now it's a long time ago. Aziz and Jamil didn't play. I don't think Avila played, right?
I'm trying to
I
remember.
think he was out.
They did have someone big that was out. But yeah, that was
But
so long ago.
yeah, I asked a couple people about it today. They said they don't think it would make a huge difference, other than it's not going to be hard to sell the team on. These guys are pretty good. Like
Right.
they played, and Indiana State won.
Yep.
So that is still in their memory bank.
Right. I mean, just for other things real fast. They've got another short, kind of quick guard, shoots the three well. How about this? 291 attempts from three out of Isaiah Swope, Newburgh, Indiana kid. That is a lot of 3-point attempts. Their point guard, 6'3". He's definitely a pass first guy, but he's attempted like 3 more threes than Jizzle has this year, and he's making 46.8% from deep. Just insane.
This is where Jizzle's defense is going to be tested. Big time.
Yeah, I agree. Conwell, if you remember him, he's a guy from USF that just transferred back to the state of Indiana. He was at the Pike High School, went to USF. Now he's playing for the Sycamores. Kent is an intriguing guy. He's about 6'8", gets a lot of pick and roll, straight line drives, but yet again, he's shot 75 threes, hitting him at a 34.7% clip, so he is capable. And then, of course, then you've got Missouri Valley Jokic, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They run the offense through Robbie Avila a lot. He's shot 136 threes on the year. Dan Skillings, as a reference, has shot 141 on the year. So this team will let them fly from deep. They'll make it happen, and it's going to be an exciting game to watch, and hopefully one where the defense amps up and then the offense tries to calm things down. You don't want to get in a running match and turn the ball over and have some careless possessions. So should be a lot of fun either way.
Yeah, they don't. This is another one of those like weird Cincinnati tests, right? Because Indiana State is not looking to turn you over. And it feels like those outside of Iowa State, those have been the days that have, like, Cincinnati has almost been at their worst.
Yep.
That's when the other team wasn't trying to pressure them and turn them over, and they were just careless.
Exactly.
And that place is going to be loud. Like, if you let Indiana State go on a 9-1 run,
which they can,
where they hit 3 threes in 4 possessions or whatever, they're gonna have to keep their composure in this one, especially early. There's gonna be a lot of energy you're gonna have to deal with right from the jump in this game.
And where teams have had success against them offensively has been in the post, which brings up that comment that we made earlier. What are they going to be able to do? They're 359th in block percentage on defense. That's what there's 362 teams in college basketball. Yeah, so they are literally 4th to last in defensive block percentage. But maybe that means the line drives, to the basket will be working for them in this one, because there's not much contest at the rim against the Sycamores. They have a very short bench. It's going to be one where you can, yes, you've lost Day. You don't have, CJ, obviously. So both teams are a little bit of depleted squads, them by choice, Cincinnati due to injuries. But it's going to be one where, both teams are going to play their 6-7 guys full game, and better team will come out on top.
I'm curious. I think there's a real interesting subplot of, like, they're not going to put Avila anywhere near the rim.
Right.
And if Aziz guards him, that is very serious blow to Cincinnati's defense, not having Bandego in the paint. So
I wouldn't put Aziz on him, I'd put, I guess, CMOS on him. But
CMOS, he's given up 4 inches? CMOS is not an elite defender by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
I don't think you can put Newman on him at 6'5".
Yeah. Because because
is it two bigs?
Kent is the one that gets downhill and gets to the rim a lot more than Avila does. So yeah, that'll be fascinating to see. Truly,
I just hope they run plenty of don't foul 3-point defense. If they can practice that between 1,000 times between now and then, don't foul on 3-point defense.
There was 2 or 3 times in that Bradley game where Dan got caught in that exact same action.
Yep.
And he held up and he learned to stop and not foul, like not continue running where they ran a drag, they ran him off a couple of screens and they flipped the ball to the guy that Dan's guarding and Dan just crashed into him in that that was Oklahoma State, right?
Where we were fouling all the shooters, that was Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma, that's what it was, Oklahoma.
Yep.
I knew it was one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan crashed into the guy and he made progress, Aaron. He learned from his mistakes. That's what we asked him to do, right? And he literally just stopped and was like slammed on his brakes in traffic and came like 1 inch from somebody's bumper. Because it was clear he was close a couple times and he figured out like I got to stop and not continue on.
Oh man,
1,000 times.
Graybush, if there's guys that you see is interested in that enter the portal, it will be on Bearcat Journal. I will let you guys know immediately if there's a name on my radar that enters the portal.
I am looking up to see if I can find the officials, and they don't have them listed yet. So looking at the game notes, but thought I could be that guy that pulls through. We do have Fran Fraschilla back on the call. Luckily, it does not involve Kansas, so should be a pretty fair calling in this one.
Well, he's a Big 12 homer, right?
He is.
So that means that we'll get Fran pumping up UC this entire game.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
right.
agree.
They're gonna be all over Indiana State. Come on.
Oh, they're gonna go with the crowd all the way through. The home and center's rocking. All of them in their throwback 33 Indiana State jerseys. It's gonna be fun to watch. But anything more on this one, guys? I think we're about all basketballed out. Well,
I think it's gonna be a good game.
It will be. Absolutely. Real quick, how are the brackets looking, guys?
Nobody cares about your brackets.
Terrible.
I care about how your threes are looking.
Terrible.
You know what nobody woke up today and thought, wonder how Brent Young's bracket's doing.
Oh, funny thing you say that because someone texted me actually and asked about how my bracket's looking.
Only because they wanted to tell you that their bracket was looking better than yours.
Theirs is looking worse.
But they wanted to tell
whatever
you
reason
that theirs was looking better.
Whatever the reason, he's still had somebody who cared.
Yeah, they did.
One person cares about what your bracket looks like.
Well, I was just a person that texted me. I people in the office asked about it. So we're here. But yeah. How's it looking? Terrible, Royer?
Hold on. Did you send that guy a text first that said, what's your bracket look like?
No, I did not.
Oh, are you sure?
You
didn't
sure.
prompt this conversation?
1,000,000% sure. He's the guy I went to the Purdue game with on Friday. So I did not quite hit that. But horrible, Royer. Very chalky this year. So the ones that pick off of names they know is doing pretty well.
The Sweet 16. I think I have
11.
There we go.
I got
it's pretty solid. I'd say if you want to be in position to win your pool or whatever, you probably want to be at like 13 of 16, but 11 is right in that. Like if you get it right, if your Elite 8 has 6, then you're probably in position to like win your pool. Yeah.
My brother's wife, just got to give her a flower. She's in the 98.7 percentile. She has 15 of 16. 6 teams correct. And very impressive. And she has NC State correct as well. So that's just
you know what the worst is though, Brent? When you're in that range and then you get all of the Sweet 16 games wrong and you got like 3 of your Elite 8.
Yeah. Our Warriors got 11. Yeah, no, Chad. That is by far the worst.
I've been in that position in the past where it's like Sweet 16, I'm rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you get to Saturday, you're like, I hate this tournament.
That's right.
I don't even want to watch the Elite Eight games.
We've all doggone been there, man. We have all been there. But yeah, we can tie a bow on this basketball segment and rock and roll.
That timestamp is brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. And now we know what time it is, right? Right. Take your shot and let's riff, baby.
Riff and with Royer, brought to you by New Riff Distillery. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire tasting room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% off distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com. What do you guys think about gin? I never developed a taste for gin.
Really?
I haven't had it enough to have a true opinion on it. Every time I've had it, I don't mind it. I don't know.
You know what I think? I think gin is too dry for me.
I mean, you got to do a mixy, like a.
Well, yeah, I'm not just drinking straight gin, but even gin with a mixer, like it's dry for my palate.
Like a G&T or like a
Yeah.
gin and juice. Yeah,
I'd probably more juice than I'm not a big tonic guy. I don't love tonic. I don't love hard seltzers. They also
guy too.
I am. So probably gin and juice.
Right.
But gin never worked for me. Bourbon though.
Whoa.
New Riff.
The single bottle of New Riff is
bye.
There's there's not even a little like swallow left in that bottle.
All right, Royer, let's take a shot. Here we go.
Cheers.
Boom, baby.
All right, first question. Do you support a raising of an NIT championship banner in Fifth Third Arena if they manage to win the next 3 games?
No.
Fuck yeah. Thank God.
I don't want a banner, but I think somewhere inside the arena you need to
acknowledge
that
you can put like a graphic of like the celebration with the NIT trophy somewhere in the arena. I think was that what you're getting at, Aaron?
Yeah, I don't want
and
like in the
it doesn't need to go. Yeah, it doesn't need to go. I mean, it's still a celebration of what this team was able to accomplish, regardless of how you feel about the NIT tournament. They were able to take the hand that they were dealt, and if they are able to go all the way, then I think you have that conversation. But I don't want to have that conversation personally until they actually get to that point.
So, Aaron, you're saying they should shrink down the 2 national championships, 4 Final Fours, and then just smack 1 NIT championship in between those 2 up there with a big plaque?
No, you heard him wrong.
Do that.
That's not what he said at all.
I know. I'm just fucking with him.
Yeah. I think one thing that Cincinnati and notorious to a fault is Graybush. I'm in for that. Now you can put that on the urinals. You can put that on the.
I don't know. Never mind.
But anyway, I got you. Cincinnati notoriously into a fault in football and basketball. They are very like you go to Kansas. They have looking up. They have all these numbers for players that have had good careers at Kansas, and some weren't All-Americans. Some were just, obviously good players,
fan favorites or
fan
whatever.
favorites,
Yeah, they retired a guy's like putting a guy's name on the wall when we were there that I had never once heard of in my entire life.
It was like 60 years after he played.
Right.
It was insane. But and so people talk about how Cincinnati doesn't retire their players' numbers. It doesn't do certain things like that. And the same thing is for banners and things at Fifth Third Arena. It's just non-existent. There's just the national championships and Final Four. So I err on the side. Absolutely no banner, no way. But definitely some sort of recognition somewhere. They've got recognition of worse things. I think there's a recognition of like winning the Great Midwest Tournament or something like that somewhere along the concourse. So just some sort of recognition would be good.
We'll have that conversation if we get there.
When we get there.
Let's go.
Royer's still out. He's still out on the NIT.
NIT is embarrassing, man. We don't.
He was embarrassed to play in the Military Bowl. He was embarrassed.
Oh yeah, I was. Are you kidding? I will not defend those. I'm not going to sit back and defend Birmingham Bowl. Had a lot of fun. Perry Young showed us around his hometown, but if you're going to tell me we had the chance to go to Dallas over that, yeah, it's an embarrassment.
Crypt Keeper, no, it was not called the NIT. It was the NCAA tournament, the national championship in 61 and 62. The NIT was still the second-rate tournament, especially in
1939. 1939 was the first year. If I'm reading
61-62 was the NCAA tournament. It was not the NIT. That was being played. Cincinnati was not in it.
Well, I think Crypt Keeper is right. It was called the NIT did have the rights to the national champion, but I think in 39 is what I'm reading is when it turned into being the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. There was an NIT in 1961 and 62 that was not won by Cincinnati.
Right.
Cincinnati won the national championship.
Correct. Yep.
Beating the Ohio State Buckeyes
Twice.
All right, Roy.
But basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.
Hey! All right, Roy. Next
question. Coming off the big Jizzle James hype train, you guys ever see a future where Jizzle James is first team all conference Big 12?
Man, that is a tough one because that would mean a top 3 or 4 finish in the league, I think. We saw what the awards look like this year. Mm-hmm. It was giving the best teams, the best players on the best teams, their flowers.
Yeah.
Do you think a second team would be more realistic?
Second team would be way more realistic. I'm just projecting out. Like the hard part is with the portal, it's really impossible to project what a Kansas looks like next year.
Yeah.
Right. They are going to go out and spend a shit ton of money on 4 or 5 guys in the that were the biggest names in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, what first team was Shed, Lipsy, Dickinson, McCullers, Dylan DeSue.
Yeah.
I could see him. He would have to lead the team in scoring, and like you said, be like a top 3 or 4 finish.
Yeah,
which I don't think.
I mean, if he's top 5 in the league in scoring, and Cincinnati finishes 3rd,
then yes,
I can
100%.
see him being first team.
Yeah,
that's happening in his career.
It's so hard in this league, man. It's so hard to predict because there's so many coin flips, and especially going to 20 games and adding Utah and Arizona State, Colorado, all, great to not terrible basketball programs. A top 3 finish is a lot in this league. Like it's significant because with the way this league is trending, Ryan, a top 3 finish essentially means you're a top 10 at worst top 15 team.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Baylor from this year.
Right. Like Baylor. And
You're a
Baylor,
3
guess
seed.
what? Baylor didn't get anybody on the first team.
Ray J, second team, yeah.
Right. Second team. I'll go with second team, Royer. I don't see first team.
You know what I'm going to say? If you put the team around Jizzle to the point, like you're saying, that they do finish top 3 in the league, then I could see him scoring at a clip that would qualify him to be first team. But you have to put a team.
Yeah, that's
around
the
him.
outlier, Brent. Is
Yeah.
if they do finish that high, he's probably going to be at 17, 18 points a game.
Right. Well, he would have to be. You can't like add a stud next to him, and then that's the one that's leading the team in scoring, and then all of a sudden you aren't the first in the league. You're
Right.
third, and all of a sudden you give it to the other guy. So we'll see.
If the ball is running through Jizzle, then he's going to be the one putting himself in the position to be the leading scorer on this team. He gets the option of making the pass out or not. So I would say it's hard to fathom another player leading in scoring if Jizzle's the guy bringing the ball up the court. So I don't know. I'm with you guys. If Cincinnati is able to put a team together that is top 3 or 4 in this league, then I think he does end up on that first team. I think it'd be hard to leave him off if he's averaging damn near 20 on a team that's top 3, top 4 in this league.
Especially if it's like his senior year and he's like had a storied career as well. Like it's like, oh, Jizzle is up to 1,500 points in his career. It'll be like a
Right.
reward to give him the first team. Good question, Royer. You got one more?
I do. Football teams sitting at 4-2, the midway point of the year. How likely? I'm trying to think of a way to them making a bowl game. How confident are you if they're sitting at 4-2?
To quote my good friend Mamadou Diarra, 80%, 80%, 80%, 80% chance.
I don't know. I could see those boys ripping 2-4 pretty easily. You saw last. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like that. We always debate like first 6 games, man. If you could win 5, and I think it's very doable.
Actually, I'll say 100%. Yeah, just win 2 more, and you get to 6, and you're in a bowl game. 100%.
I think it's hard. That's why I think you need to get to 5.
Okay.
They're
If
4-2.
Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
If they're at 4-2, those games come against Tosin,
Housen.
Pittsburgh, not to me, Tosun, Pittsburgh, Miami, Ohio, Houston, Texas Tech, and UCF. So I guess it depends on who those 2 losses are to. If
Pray to
any one of
God
those
it's not
if
Miami.
any one of those losses is to Tosun, Miami, or Houston, or even UCF. I think I'd put UCF in that same basket right now. Then I'm not feeling good about them necessarily getting to 6. I'd probably go at about a 60% at that point.
If Brendan Sorsby is healthy and they are 4-2, they are going to a bowl game.
Let's go.
Writing in blood, baby.
Let's go.
Quarterback just means so much, man.
It does.
It just means so much.
100% it does.
I think they got quarterback right. And if they got quarterback right, they'll be in a bowl game.
Oh, baby. This is setting up to be an awesome.
All right, impromptu question. What do you think is going to be more crucial to the team's success? Better receiver play or better defensive back play?
Defensive back.
So you think in terms
Sorsby
of
will be that good. Yeah.
You think he's going to be able to throw guys open and just make plays? Do you think he's going to need some competency? Because really it's going to come down to competent receivers and competent DBs. I don't think we're going to have I'd be really shocked at the end of the year we're saying we got decent. We got really good play out of like either of those. I think if we could just be competent in both, I think we're going to give ourselves chances to win. But if you could pick one over the other, which one?
I will counter you, and I'm just going to counter you and say that last year you played with poor receiver play and poor defensive back play, and you still were close in a lot of games. So
early.
I feel like if you had poor receiver play but still had the running game established the way that you did last year, you can get by with poor receiver play if you have good defensive back play. Based on the run game alone.
And if you think about it, so like, yes, the receivers had trouble getting open at times, but sometimes they were wide open and the ball just didn't get to them. So if you can get the ball to if you can get a halfway decent throw to them, you're talking about the difference of probably 3 or 4 or 5 additional touchdowns on the season. So I think the receivers will take that boost. I don't think they need to be elite by any stretch, but I do think defensive backfield, if you can hone in there and just be a little bit more productive, especially because the wheels came off in the second half of the Big 12 play in the backfield. So I think DB's probably for that answer.
A little bit more productive gets you to below average. That a little bit boosts you all the way to below average.
I don't know, Aaron. I think below average was a pretty far gap from where they ended in the defensive backfield.
Just saying.
I don't think a little bit gets you to below average with the group that they had last year. I think a little bit. If you get a little bit better at defensive back, you get somewhere close to shitty. Right? Like shitty is below average. I think for me it's defensive back. Look, Xavier Henderson is still really good. I think Tony Johnson is going to help. I think they've got some dudes in the slot that are good. But if this team is going to be in position to win games, they have got to stop giving up. Just the other team just picked and chose when they were going to complete 40-yard passes down the field.
And if they weren't completing them, they were getting the flag for it.
Right. Like they knew if we throw it down there, it's either going to be a 43-yard completion or we for sure get 15. Mm-hmm. And you can't continue to defend like that and expect to win, even if you get the quarterback right, because then you're going to be asking Sorsby to go win games, 54-51, which that would be a lot of fun, but it's not sustainable. Yeah. The DBs have to be better.
I'm gonna tie this in with new Riff, and we'll just roll on with more football conversation because I'm liking the flow right now, and then we'll timestamp and do mailbag after that. But so Chad was at practice today, Royer, and I don't know if you got a chance to read his notes, but quarterback play, it is seemingly taking a massive leap, and it seems like they're also putting a dedicated effort into quick game, which I think is something that could really benefit a team that lacks in certain areas. But quick game, getting the ball outside to your playmakers, having them make some plays in space. I think if you have the athletes to be able to do that, I think that only aids in the passing game as well, because that should open up more downfield. I mean, what do you think, Royer? Is it more quarterback driven, or do you need the playmakers to kind of take that extra step to help the quarterback?
I think it is more quarterback driven, because I think a quarterback, I think there's times where you can get good schemes, you can get guys in the right spot, and it doesn't really require any like insane athleticism or any like special talent. And I think if you have a quarterback that just has command of that, knows where to go, knows where to hit the guy, when to hit him, and then just kind of like pull his team along to victory, kind of like how Dez would do sometimes with us, I think that is more valuable than having like 2 to 3 skill guys that are just off the charts.
They don't mean much if you can't get them the ball.
Yeah. And football is such a big like spacing and timing game. Like if you can get a quarterback that quarterback and offense that understands their spacing, their timing, their concepts, their route tree, and all great quarterbacks do that. So if Brandon Sorsby is going to be great, he's going to be able to understand how to do that. But if you get a guy that fires on all those cylinders, man, you don't need Calvin Johnson, you don't need Julio Jones, you don't need Tyreek Hill out there. You're gonna be square. So I lean towards the quarterback.
Chad, I know you posted it on the board in the notes, but just gush a little bit about Brendan Sorsby.
The ball just comes out of his hand so easy, so smooth. And you're starting to see, like, he had a play today where he was rolling out to the right and he had a linebacker kind of in his vision. He dropped down a sidearm, threw like a 7-yard ball to a guy out in the flat. Guy takes it upfield for a 15-yard gain. And, just some of that ability to do. We're always going to talk about, like he had just a beautiful bomb down the seam to Cale Woodburn today. That Woodburn laid out for and caught at like the 2-yard line. We're always going to talk about that because it's splashy, it's pretty. But what I've seen more from Sorsby, he hit like a 7-yard dig that as the guy was coming out of his break, he let go of the ball. He turned around, boom, right there in the middle of his chest. They're running swing passes and screen game and stuff that, if we're being honest, and it looked the same in games, you guys saw it, it looked clunky. It running backs turning the wrong way or not being led out into open spaces.
Yeah.
And the timing always looked kind of disjointed.
Or the touch on the pass was a little.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I mean by like the back is like,
right.
Turning around, like, that stuff has looked really smooth. And in this scheme where speed is critical and you're getting guys out in space, having your quarterback be able to take the snap, take 2 steps and get the ball out, it eliminates some of that stuff that was just dreadful for this offense last year where they just got stuck in the mud far too often. So a lot of that stuff with Sorsby is what has impressed me because it's the easier stuff, the simpler stuff that you don't equate. Like, man, if that drive just had 2 more first downs, maybe we don't get a touchdown. But maybe instead of giving them the ball at the 40, we give them the ball at the 8.
Right.
And then they throw a pick 6, and that leads to it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just sustaining drives and doing little things are what I think Sorsby is going to bring to this, just as much as he does the big throws down the field and, the splash plays with his legs. I think turning 2nd and 6 to 1st and 10 and not even getting to 1st or 3rd down.
Yeah.
That's how you're efficient offensively.
Yeah. I'm curious to see once we actually get to see them against a real defense, what his check down reads look like. If he's able to get to a 2nd or a 3rd
so
read.
Far he is, but you're right. Until we see a live rush coming at him, what does it look like?
Yeah, because that was definitely a bugaboo last year.
You don't say.
It was more than a bugaboo.
Yeah.
Read one, hot route, run for your life. Run for your life.
I can go. I'm going to pose this next question to Royer and then Chad. You're going to know where I'm going with it, and then I'll let you take it off from there. Royer, what does it take for you to say thumbs up, yes, absolutely, to playing a true freshman kind of early in his career?
one, he's got to have like the mental capability to be able to play fast, because a lot of these freshmen, they could play fast, but what always happens is right when they get out there, they can't fucking think, they freak out, and then next thing you know, they're about playing at my speed. So it kind of negates all of their God-given ability. So you got guys that can, the moment mentally is not too big for them, because these kids, they recruit them because they're gonna be physically, 90% of the time they're gonna be physically capable, but can they utilize the mental side of the game with college football is such a big leap from high school, and being able to find their groove, play their game within the game. So you gotta have kids that are smart, they're mentally tough, they're mentally sharp, they're able to react and move on the fly kind of at a quicker pace than freshmen normally are. And you can tell it right away.
The keyword speed, if for me, it's like one, if a true freshman has an innate talent that separates him from others and kind of has that one trait that you can say, hey, we need that. Speed.
Barry Jackson.
Speed is yes, but Barry Jackson's not running a 4.2. Or
just saying last year would have been nice.
Yes, but I think even Barry Jackson, he's a gamer. He's an absolute gamer. Yes, he had that one where he kind of blew by everybody off the catch, off the bubble screen against whatever FCS team we were playing. But for me, it's the speed aspect of things. And you heard Nico kind of under his breath, we asked him, so who is the fastest guy on the team? Because when he's talking about his freaks and whatnot, and he kind of under his breath was like, oh, it's Cale Woodburn. Chad,
tied.
He was tied, but he wanted to shy away from giving true freshmen their flowers. But man, if someone has the ability to get behind a defense with just true speed, you got to start to give them all the looks you can.
So this has been, Brent, an interesting part of the way that they have done practice. I don't like it because it's bad for content.
Right.
Let's be honest. They are not running 1s and 2s.
Right.
They are running here's these 3 wide receivers are always out there together today. And then these 3 wide receivers are after them. And then these 3 wide receivers are after them. But you might have, Xavier Henderson in the first group and Tony Johnson in the third group.
Okay.
Right? So they're not running it like normal.
Mm-hmm.
But what that has created is a situation where, for some reason, Cale Woodburn and Brendan Sorsby seem to be on the field together a lot. And Brendan Sorsby really enjoys letting it fly and seeing if Cale Woodburn can go get it. And usually he can. I don't know if that is just Sorsby, like, all right, this is the dude with the wheels, so I'm going to see if I can outthrow him.
Or if it's actually something that...
right. Because it's not like Cale Woodburn is running a bunch of the route tree right now.
Right.
Go.
But boy, a lot of the time, what he does run results in him 4 steps past whoever it was trying to guard him, like he was on the deep ball today. That was a tiny bit, maybe like a yard or 2 underthrown, where he had to slow down just a touch.
Mm-hmm.
And he still was 3-4 yards past the guy that was supposed to be checking him. I don't know if it's going to relate to anything this year, but my God, that kid is fast.
And well, I mean, even Keegan in his report on Saturday is mentioning him as the dude of the day. And I know it's spring ball, and I know I drink Kool-Aid a lot, but it's sometimes you got to just be like, wow, this guy's got a different part to him. That it's not like I want him getting 15 targets a game, all go routes, but it could be like, okay, yeah, let's if we've got 5 wide and he's one of the guys that's hidden in the slot a little bit, let him go. try and get behind the
Or
defense.
you have like a route or a guy that needs, like, you're rotating him out and you sneak 18 in there,
Right.
and then the defense doesn't really properly account for it, and then he's
They
4
got a
steps behind your
linebacker on
defense.
him or a safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So
He's
Roy,
been
I
a lot
think,
like it's practice 7. So
yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
get fully out over my skis. But he has had a really good first 7 practices as a Bearcat.
But as Royer said, though, it's how quickly can he then translate that when the bright lights come on,
Right.
when it's Saturday and you tell him, hey, hit that go route, and he doesn't stumble out of his break. He is ready to go right away. So, but yeah, I've heard that's been some exhilarating content out of him. And then of course Jordan Young is another guy. I think, Royer, is it easy for a guy to put the past in the past? It's been the main mantra throughout the entire offseason so far, but Jordan Young seems to be a guy where putting the past in the past is number one thing, and he's, by all accounts, having a phenomenal spring.
I mean, yeah, if you want to be a pro, if you want to be a guy that just gets better, and you got to have kind of like a next play mentality, is a more like a immediate, like, real football example. But yeah, that philosophy applies to a career too. I mean, you're never, like, it's never set in stone, really. If you have one bad play or one bad year, it doesn't mean you're going to be terrible. And it's good to kind of recognize, hey, that wasn't my best game, but I'm going to be better, and I'm going to start in the spring, and you're going to see a different me. And that's what a driven, focused player does.
Mm-hmm.
And he's young too, so it's good to see that out of him. To not kind of, a lot of guys with football is such a mental game, dude, especially when you're young. Especially with college football nowadays, expectations, NIL, playing time. I mean, it's very easy for guys to fold in on themselves, and just to see him kind of take the next step, take it a notch up, it's really promising. Those are the kind of guys you're going to be able to count on. It's how they finish, not how they
I
started.
will also say this. It's only half of them, but Simeon Coleman, Gravy Johnson, Kel Woodburn, like, this is looking like, Dakari had some flash as much as some of these guys are flashing. Jaquan Sanks, like, some of these guys already look like they belong. So that's very promising when you're talking about that first Rio freshman class, because that means potentially you've got some dudes you can start stacking talent with. So
tape, greater sign, stars. Let's roll, baby.
Right.
Let's roll. Anything else football, Chad? Anything stuck out to you, or is it head over to the board and take a look time?
Yeah, it's time to get rolling.
All right, head over to the
Keegan's
board.
texting. Does Keegan not know we're doing a podcast? Why is Keegan texting me in the middle of a show?
Clearly he doesn't. Clearly he doesn't.
I mean, you would think, like, okay, Keegan is sending me something
because he knows you'll respond. That's why.
No, like, I have to look at it. My beat writer is sending me something.
He knows you'll respond.
I didn't respond. I'm just calling him out on the podcast for texting me if it's not urgent during a show. Kids.
Did he ask you how your bracket looks?
No, he sent me a thing from somebody that I don't.
Come on, that was funny, guys. Where's the laughter at it here?
I'm angry with Keegan right now for interrupting my train of thought.
Fair enough.
That's a BBP timestamp. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009. They're one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Let go, baby.
Real quick, Adele, welcome, and good luck to the Bearcats in Pro Day this week, especially Ryan Montgomery.
Yeah, let's get that shout out real quick. Starts tomorrow, right? The
Something
26th,
like that.
and goes through I think the 30th. Jawan Briggs, Daniel Greshik, Taj Ward, D. Wiggins, Trevor Radosevich, Emory Jones, Ryan Montgomery, and Malik Vance. So shouts to those Bearcats. Go and show out, guys. I will be interested to see how they run this whole the Big 12 Pro Day. It'll be pretty fun to track as well. So
you see Ryan's boy this week running for the CFL at 4.5. The Christian,
5'1", I think.
the Christian robot running.
Blanco, man. The flavor.
Joe, you've drank before. Yeah, one time somebody puts a flavored whipping cream in my mouth, and that's the only time alcohol has ever touched my lips before in the history of my lips.
I mean, let's not get it wrong. That one little drop probably got him feeling like a little like, whoa, what is this
wasted.
Cool Whip?
Chocolate wasted.
Literally.
Goodness. All right, mailbag.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Did I miss a Joel reference? I heard the end of it.
You ran a 4.51 at the Canadian Combine.
4.59.
Oh, I thought I saw 4.51. Well, shit.
That's still crazy though.
4.59. That's slow, dude. What are you talking about?
I was fucking jumping up and down.
Is that
was
that
running
pretty
with
fast
a
for her?
weighted? Did he have a weighted backpack on?
Oh, did you say something about? I think he had some of that whipped cream that you were
Right
mentioning.
before the run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
up a little bit?
Is 4.59 pretty good?
Yes. For him, yeah, that's great. That's like that's career changing, I think.
By weighted backpack, do you mean was he carrying Royer?
He wouldn't be able to get out the starting block. Flat on his face.
After these weekends, baby. Come on now.
Starting off with the football portion of the mailbag, any concerns with the offense from last week's performance, or is it a sign that the defense is quickly picking up the 3 safety look?
Scott, good to see you. I think it's a little of both. Again, Tuesday last week was windy as shit. Like everything they tried to throw did not look like it had a lot of like the zip that we've seen in the other practices. Thursday, I thought the defense played really well Thursday. And some of that could have been, guess what happens? The offense has a great start to camp, spring ball, whatever. And then you have a day where the wind kind of changes the dynamic. Now the defense is like, all right, we're starting to play good. Like we got these guys figured out. They're not going to kick our ass anymore. Then they come out the next day and they follow it up and they have a good day. I was not there Saturday, so I can't speak on practice Saturday. But I do think there is a significant talent upgrade in the defensive backfield. And that's kind of changing the dynamic of just being able to move the ball at will. And this defense is so fascinating to me. And Kerry Combs talked about it today, where because you've got now 6 guys behind the defensive line in a stack, essentially, when you're talking angles and where guys are running from and where pressure is coming from and where tacklers are or guys defending like in zone or whatever, it messes with people. Like that's part of why it's been so good for Iowa State, because it's just not something that people see all the time. It's not something people see really ever unless they're playing Iowa State. So it's been really interesting to watch. But the offense today was good again, and some of that was just because Sorsby was outstanding. So no, I don't put a whole ton into it. It's also the ebbs and flows of spring football.
All right. Curious to hear more about the wide receiver group outside of Henderson. The room seems pretty wide open, so the training camp battles will be fun to watch. Who has stood out as a possible starter? contributor based on the limited snaps with Sorsby at the helm. Does Prater figure to be a factor this season at wide receiver?
So, Evan, I actually talked to him today, and I thought he was out because they had cleaned up the shoulder. But he's not out because they had cleaned up the shoulder. They had done something else that needed fixed, and they haven't touched the shoulder. And I was like, so you can't throw football anymore? He's like, I tried to throw some like drill stuff with the wide receivers and got through about one rotation. I was like, dude, you're gonna have to throw left-handed to your kids when you get older because your shoulder is just gone. He's like, yeah, I can't outside of like 10, 15 yards doing this, like I can't throw the football anymore. But he's not, he hasn't been a full participant in practice, hasn't been a partial participant in practice so far this spring. So I can't really speak on where he's at. He did say he hopes to be ready to go like late May, and to be there for the summer program. So I think Tony Johnson is going to be your starter opposite Xavier Henderson. He has been that good. And then I think they're going to have a lot of toys to play with. That Sterling Buckhalter, I didn't get to him today. He had a really good day today. He kind of, Sorsby was scrambling left and gave him the, get going.
Scramble drill, go.
And Buckhalter started straight down the side. Burkhalter, started straight down the sidelines. And Sorsby, as soon as it went out, left his hand, gave it one of these, like nailed it. And Buck just right into his fingertips and touchdown. So
that's good to hear because he was a promising, bigger, athletic receiver. Yeah. Kind of like the D. Wiggins, Xavier Henderson type and build. So yeah, hearing that he's taking that next step is definitely very promising. Good.
What's up, EK? Good to see you. And then the slot's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Aaron Turner, Barry Jackson,
Tyron
Smith.
Yeah.
Like they got a lot of guys in that spot. Where does Cale Woodburn fit in? Is he an outside guy? Is he an inside guy? So I think the wide receiver room is turning the corner. I'm not ready to declare them like one of the best groups on the team, but you are seeing guys that have the potential to really help this group.
I love all those words.
And also, I mean, you can tie in kind of the tight end room as well, because I mean, when I guess I was reading what Joe Royer was out for a couple of days, but it sounded like he was getting a lot of looks, all over the field, which would just add more to the pass catching wide receiver group. So, yeah, toys. The greatest thing is toys.
Indeed.
Will UC still have their own separate pro day here, or will it be completely replaced by the Big 12 pro day event in Texas?
Texas. It's all going to be in Texas. So there you go.
Right. Outside of the starting 5 offensive linemen, what other linemen are standing out?
So I touched on that, I believe, a little bit today. Evan Tengistal is really starting. I know I screw his name up every time I say it. Is really starting to find his groove. He has been operating as the second team center, which many thought was his like long-term projection. He has looked really, really good. And still has that potential, like, when Luke Kandra leaves next year, you could play Evan at guard and have Gavin at center. Or if you want to move Gavin to guard and put Evan at center, whatever, you'll have some versatility there. Jonathan Harder is a name that keeps coming up when you talk about the young linemen in this program as another guy on the inside that's gonna help them. And then Judea Millen, the junior college guy, now he's a senior, but they really think he's got a chance to give them really good depth this year across that line of scrimmage. So, any Nico standouts among the newer guys? Eric, we did a show with Nico last Monday. So you get an hour of Nico last week talking about the guys that the newer guys.
It was good. It was good, Eric. I highly suggest go listen to it.
It's not going to do me any good. It's not going to do you any good to have me try to regurgitate all the good stuff that Nico gave us last week. It's excellent. So check that out. Yeah, you need to catch up a bit, Eric. What are you doing?
Unreal. With the new defense and new DC, has the defense changed the way they defend the long pass and 1v1 coverage situations? Are the DBs looking back to find the ball, or are they still watching the wide receiver's eyes and trying to play with their back turned to the quarterback?
I hate this question more than life itself.
Oh, God. All right.
Ryan, I think, has agreed with me in the past on this topic. The DBs that have the ability to run full speed while another guy is running next to them, that guy knows where he's going, the other guy doesn't, and that still have the ability to turn their head and play the ball, are the elite guys. They're the guys that are going to play in the NFL.
Those are the Sunday, bro.
The guys, don't you think if coaches could just teach everybody to do that everybody would do it?
I wonder though, if this is a long-winded way of asking, are we going to see more turnovers from the defensive backs this season?
But this is a question. This is something I see every game, like dozens of times a game. Why didn't that guy turn his head to the ball?
Why did he turn around?
We also didn't enough to do that.
We also didn't see any turnovers last year from the defensive
because
backs,
they didn't have any good defensive backs.
I'm well aware.
Like, Ryan, do you agree with me at this? The reason that you coaches don't tell everybody to turn their head and do this while still trying to defend the guy doing this is because most guys aren't good enough to do it.
Yeah.
And so what they tell them is stay engaged, stay connected. And when you see them making a play, then you make a play on the hands.
The wrist specifically.
And the wrists or whatever, but like you make a play up through the catch point.
Yeah.
And that's the smart way to do that if you don't have elite defensive backs.
You know who does that on every single play that he doesn't get an interception on is Sauce Gardner. Like, so yes, once you get that one part down, then you can take that next step of getting your head all the way around and getting INTs or, you know, different things of that sort. And also
Sauce also has like a 6'9" wingspan
and closing speed. That's insane.
And closing speed where he can do things that no other human can do.
Right. But I'm just saying, just get that basic part down that master is already a master. Then you can try and evolve your game to that next level.
Sure.
The good news is NCAA football comes out from EA Sports in July, and you can get all the user picks you want. Come July.
Quick triangle press. Just quick triangle press. You'll pick it every time.
Yeah. What construction work is being done at the north end of the field on the Bearcat sideline?
1 second. I'll be right back. Talk about something else.
It's the super secret New Heights podcast platform / Taylor Swift concert stage.
I went to a New Heights podcast recording and I ended up at a Taylor Swift concert. Wouldn't that be something?
I hope none of that happens.
So there is a small section, probably 5-7 rows, right by where the tunnel is, that the opposing team comes out of. that they're doing, I guess, some American Disabilities Act like seating, that they're like reworking stuff there, because those people generally have to sit. Not those people. That's very insensitive. They have to sit like all the way up at the top of the first deck behind, like,
super inconvenient.
Yeah.
Extremely inconvenient.
They are giving them hopefully a better place to sit down on field level. That's what's going on.
All right. That is it for the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. What's the future look like for Vic and Jamil still wearing the black and red next year?
I don't know. Next.
That coming a mile away.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. We're not there yet.
I'm not mad. I didn't ask the question. I just read it. Who will be some 2025 high school names to watch during the upcoming AAU season?
Can I get through this? Like, we'll get there. We're almost there. There's lots of them, but I'm not smart enough to do 46 things at once.
We want 46 names, Chad.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. We'll get there. There's only one of me. One thing at a time. Like, can we get through the NIT and then like a week of the transfer portal?
You gotta get through the portal before we're worried about who to watch in 2020. We don't know what this team's going to look like post portal.
What if they bring in two guys with like 3 years of eligibility, or if they bring in people with no years of eligibility? That's going to impact what you focus on in 2025. So,
but we do know they've offered some very, very highly rated players.
Yeah, they're in on a bunch of talented dudes, but that doesn't mean that they're priorities. Right. It doesn't mean that there's any smoke. Like, I don't like giving names unless I know
just to give names. Yeah,
there's momentum, right? Like,
yeah, you're right.
So what you're saying is Wes Miller and company were Wes Miller and company during a recruiting session. That's crazy.
Right. They identified a lot of really good players and they offered them, and we'll see kind of what has traction when we get into April and May.
One thing, a name that was kind of circulating a lot, Sadiq White did release his top 7. Bearcats are not in it. So I guess that would be one definitive update that we can give.
Cross him off the list.
Yep.
For now.
See ya.
Oh, we're not leaving yet. Stay with us. Okay.
No, that was to Sadiq White.
Just him. Just Sadiq White.
Just Sadiq White. Okay.
What is the more delicate / awkward process? Number 1, trying to nail down an NIL deal with a $500K plus stud from the portal. Number 2, realizing certain players on your current team, i.e. Dan, Jizzle, Seamoss, Aziz, Day, may need a bump up in NIL dollars in order to feel valued when a $500K plus stud is brought in.
2 is more delicate. 1 is very straightforward. Like, we are trying to get an elite player, and we are going to pay him what the market is worth, right? Because like, you don't really get to determine that unless you are, the Cincinnati Bengals in free agency have a hard and fast, this is a line we will not cross. If Cincinnati has that, I mean, then there is a line they will not cross. If not, then they're bidding wars, and you find out how much team wants you more than the other team. Mm-hmm. So that is not awkward or delicate. That is just negotiation. Yeah. Second one is awkward and delicate. We are bringing in a guy that we value $250,000 more than we value you. That's not easy.
I'd imagine there's been plenty of ongoing conversations between the NIL and the players throughout the season to where there shouldn't be a ton of surprises as to what they're expecting.
But what they're saying, Aaron, is you bring a guy that gets $800,000 into the locker room and nobody else is getting more than $4. That's awkward and delicate in terms of introducing that.
Right.
Saying Landers is coming back.
He got his bag. He's fine.
And you can't really have one without the other either, because that's
just
what
part of how
today's
this all works.
game is. Yeah.
That's why they have people in charge of the NIL and all of that. Where did each of you personally stand on playing in the NIT? Comment on the teams/programs that turned down the invite. Well, we know where Ryan stands on the NIT.
Fuck the NIT.
Embarrassing.
Ryan actually calls it the FTNIT. Fuck the NIT.
We all know where we should be, man. All this history in this program.
Sure. Nobody is disagreeing with that, Ryan. But they didn't make it.
Yeah, it's a disappointment.
Sure.
It's like going to Birmingham.
You still went? Did you turn down your swag bag in Birmingham?
Yeah, I sold it all.
No. That's not turning it down, motherfucker. That is not turning it down.
Hey, it was flying off the shelf quick. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Ryan wrote a number 35 sweatsuit." The thrift store was going nuts.
You still got? Well, never mind. I'll behave.
I mean, I will say I think that most of the people turning down, I mean, most of the teams turning down the NIT is not because it's the NIT.
The team didn't want to play.
It's more so the team didn't want to play, more so it kind of pulled a Bill Self. You know, they've been thinking about next season for the last few weeks, and they want to get next season started quicker than what they are. And Cincinnati's definitely in a spot where let's continue trying to get better with this core, and preparations for next season can wait. So
and these guys like each other and they want to keep playing, so they kept playing. That's where I was on the NIT. If you would have told me that they decided not to play, I would have been surprised, but I would have been like, that's their call.
Mm-hmm.
But they just decided they want to play. And the teams that turned it down, okay, that's that's where your program is right now.
Yeah.
I don't speak ill of them because they felt their program was in a different place than where Cincinnati's was in terms of the players wanting to continue to play. What you don't want is to go into a tournament where nobody wants to be there.
Right. Yeah. And
Cincinnati didn't have that. I think we've seen that in the 2 games. These guys enjoy playing together.
Yeah, they're playing hard.
I'm trying to find the damn list of the teams and see and ask you guys, who out of these teams would you rather change situations with? Because the number of teams that turned it down, and then looking at their situation compared to where the Bearcats currently are, it's just like, I would rather not switch and be in the situation that Indiana's in, or switch and be in the situation that Oklahoma is in. It's like,
UCLA.
These teams are turning it down. Yeah, like teams are turning it down, but it's just like, okay, you're turning it down because you clearly have some difficulties within your program that you need to quickly turn and fix.
You're telling me Memphis had difficulties in their program? Get out of here. No way.
Right. I mean, Indiana State accepted it because they know this is their last hurrah. You know what I mean?
Those guys wanted to keep playing.
Yeah, they want to keep playing. It's just easy to see why.
Rick Pitino's been shitting on his team for like 6 weeks. And you mean
Exactly.
to tell me that you mean to tell me they didn't want to play in the tournament?
Rick Pitino said on the record in front of people in the whole goddamn world, I hate coaching this team.
Yep.
And I quote, I hate coaching this team. They didn't take an NIT invite?
He said it's the hardest thing he's ever done in his life. or no, what did he say? It's the worst experience he's ever been through in his life. And
yeah, I would have thought it would be. I thought it would have been the transition from human to vampire,
or just the 10 seconds of fame that he had, or something like that. But yeah,
trying to squeeze it in a booth at an Italian restaurant.
Oh man, you went off the deep end. I was keeping it a little chill. Just trying to have some Sunday gravy, and yeah. I mean,
Hey. All right.
It's sauce, not gravy. Come on.
the sauce.
All right. I know it won't happen, but curious about your answer with regard to how you think the team has developed this year. What would be your expectations for next season if all players with eligibility returned, leaving no space for a portal addition? Would NCAA bid be a minimum expectation?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you get better with
NCAA
another year of Day. You get better with another year of Jizzle. Seamus is seeming to be much more comfortable in his role on this team. Dan has gotten significantly better. John Newman, replacing John Newman is going to be a large task, but I think they've developed well. I think they've won 6 of 8. I think they are playing their best basketball at the end of the season. Arguably, the best game they played all year was Bradley. And if you return this core as is, lose John and Odie, and you bring in the Tylers, and you add Rayvon, the expectation for me would still be an NCAA tournament team.
NCAA or bust. NCAA or bust, no matter what. Just a quick aside, Pat Kelsey getting steamed to Louisville right now, which is nuts. But
Wow.
yeah, I think with the core is NCAA or bust. Yes, people need to take the next step, but you look at the NCAA tournament this year, it is truly not like, yes, it's hard. It is hard to get to the NCAA tournament, but it's really not that hard. Like when you're in a Power 5 conference with this many big win opportunities, it's not that difficult. I mean, Cincinnati was right there throughout the entire season this year. Next year is absolutely tournament or bust, especially with the steps of development that you've already seeing in season that the core has had. So yeah, tournament or bust for me.
Yeah, I think
even with the same, like, just return what you're returning, no portal additions, add the guys the freshmen that you're adding. I still think this should be expected to be an NCAA tournament team next year.
Yeah, I don't think you're reaching the ceiling that you could while mixing in the portal, but yes, with what the team has, everyone just takes that next step. Yeah, it should be tournament or bust.
Minimum expectation this year was bubble, and we landed on the bubble, and it popped. So
they didn't do enough. They didn't win enough close games to be off the bubble. And the frustrating part, like we talked about, Aaron, all season, is that they were 1 or 2 wins from being in position to be on the right side of the bubble in games that they probably should have won and didn't.
Right. So, all right. That ends the basketball portion of the mailbag. Last portion of the mailbag being the banks.
Yeah, it's my second favorite portion. Right behind.
I'm going to start here. Back from round 2 in Vegas. Favorite casino game? Mine's craps, followed by blackjack. I don't get the allure of slots.
What's your slots? Is just stealing your money.
Slots is terrible.
Go in. You start at roulette. See if you can just triple your winning.
I like roulette. If you have a good system in roulette, I like roulette.
Yeah. But that's just the first one. Then you go to blackjack. Then you finish at the craps table all the way until 8 a.m. when you go get brunch. So yeah.
I'll be honest. The roulette and craps tables both scare me. They're intimidating.
I've never played craps. I couldn't play craps if my life depended on it.
I've never played either, and I'm scared to actually step to those tables. So I stick to blackjack where
Walk
I know.
in, put it all on black. See if you can't have a great time. If not, figure something out.
It's the rest of the stuff though is what is scary. And craps, there's so much going on. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, craps. I have no idea.
Royer, what you got?
I said blackjack.
Okay.
What would a BCJ trip to Vegas look like? Oh.
Well, what would a BCJ Vegas trip look like? I feel like Brent would be a high roller trip with good food and espresso martinis, followed by some intermittent gambling here and there. Chad would intermittent. That's funny for Brent.
There would be no intermittent gambling.
No,
there would be espresso martinis at the gambling table.
Brent would make sure we were eating somewhere where he could continue to gamble.
Right. He would have money on games. We would only eat when games were happening, so that he would still have action.
Yeah.
Chad would be low rolling it at the $10 tables and hitting Taco Bell at 3 a.m. after too many Miller Lights. Royer would be the guy that disappears at the beginning of the trip only to show up for the flight home and isn't able to remember anything in between. Aaron seems like the guy who goes, complains the whole time, keeps stating that he needs to hit the ATM, never does, and somehow still comes out $100 ahead.
I mean, that's probably spot on.
Yeah.
I don't complain in Vegas. I promise you that.
You know what? I think my part is right for maybe the first day and a half, but then I'm joining Royer and
he got a hold of Royer Saturday afternoon, and we didn't see him until the Sunday night flight
out in the desert.
Right.
Found me out in the desert. Then we somehow made it back.
Yeah.
I'm not a large money gambler, but here's the type of gambler I am when it comes to like Vegas. I am very good at staying disciplined and turning $100 into $1,400 and then losing that $1,400 in 7 minutes. And then starting over and turning $100 into $1,400 and then losing that $1,400 in 7 minutes. That is the type of gambler that I am. So I walk out of there down $200 on a 2-day trip where I actually won $2,800 and then lost it all immediately. I've done that so many times. So many times. The last time I turned $400 into $1,900. Okay. And the goal was $2,000. Get to $2,000 and I was done. And I couldn't get over that $1,900 hump. And I had cashed out to where I had I think $1,000 in my pocket that it was like, I started with $4. I'm going to make sure that I walk out with at least $1,000. And that $900 disappeared chunk. And then I would keep going into my pocket and putting $100 in the roulette machine out of that $1,000 I wasn't supposed to touch. We got to the very end. I had $400 in my pocket. Red had hit 8 times in a row. So it was like 400 on black. I'm going to get back to 800 and then I'm going to bed. It was like 4:00 in the morning. And I put the 400 in and I bet it on black and red hit. And I went back up to the room and had to explain to Kelly that I'm an idiot. And she was like, yep, you're an idiot.
Right.
And I was like, I had fun all the way until the last 7 minutes. And then I went, that is exactly who I am in Vegas.
Royer and I would be trying to find Dana White and do the Tunnel of Chaos real fast and triple our earnings and then get out and continue on to the clubs, baby.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right. Posting from Hobby Lobby parking lot.
Interesting.
I gave up after 2 hours in the store with my wife.
What?
Rapid fire. Skins 99's daughter's baby shower edition. Who throws the best baby shower from the BBP team?
I have no fucking clue.
Brent.
I mean, I'll throw a party, but man, I don't have a baby. But I mean, shoot,
it involves a party. The answer is now. I guess you could go me because I'm going to cook like a elaborate spread with like 5 courses and all kinds of shit.
Nah, we'd be getting
but
catered.
Brent is throwing the party.
I actually had one like 2 years ago for the record. So
experience.
Was it a diaper party? Right? Isn't that what the male version's called?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
What the hell is that?
Is like the females
where all your boys show up and bring you diapers.
Females have the baby shower. Guys have the diaper party where you show up with a thing of diapers.
When your friends start having babies,
exhausted.
Yeah. Just
yes.
Wild. Just
yeah.
And
I had mine at a brewery.
The last diaper party I went to was I was invited. Thank you, Aaron. The last diaper party I went to was it was when the TBT tournament was going on. I made everyone watch the The squat takedown, zip them up. So it was a fun rowdy night.
2 hours in Hobby Lobby or 1,000 years in Athens, Ohio?
2 hours in Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
2 hours.
Give me 2 hours in Hobby Lobby.
There isn't a Hobby Lobby in Athens, Ohio, so otherwise that would be double whammy. Yeah, 2 hours in Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Aubrey for a girl's name. How we feeling about Aubrey for a girl's name?
Not bad. I don't hate it.
Yeah, not bad. Isn't that Drake's first name?
Yeah.
Aubrey Graham.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Aubrey.
I think it's a good name, but I feel like this is probably a good place for me to say that I am also expecting, and we are due in June.
Whoa!
Hey!
Let's go! Yeah.
I've kept it quiet for a while, but
Let's
this
go,
is gonna be
Aaron!
my second little girl. So
Hey, baby. Girl,
Congratulations.
Dad. Keep it rolling.
that's
Love
where
it,
we're
Aaron.
at.
Congratulations, brother.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Gosh, man, you know what? That is exciting news, and it's also exciting news that the Cincinnati Bearcat basketball team has a game tomorrow night, chance to go on to the NIT Final Four. That's right, Indiana State, the 6'6" Sycamores over there in Terre Haute. It's going to.
Are you and George going to live watch?
I don't
At
know
9?
what we're gonna. I gotta get a hold of George and figure this out. I don't know what's gonna
It's
happen.
a 9 p.m. tip. Insanity. Golly. But I tell you what.
We'll be live post game at 11:30 or
If
whatever.
you make it over to Terre Haute, there's some fun places to go. That's all I got to say. I had a buddy that used to
No,
play
there's
there.
not.
He's a good guy.
There's a GE plant in Terre Haute.
Hey,
Tap in.
Aaron's going to tap
All
in.
you can eat engines.
Hey,
You like to eat
Maybe-
titanium
the
engines.
best kind. The Tin Man
Maybe
happy.
maybe George and I started. I don't know. We do the special Reds preview with it being opening.
Oh yeah, I just requested work off, man. We're gonna be humming.
We're a little
for
late
the
on
left.
the West, man.
Yeah, would you even be able to get to work?
What do you mean? Oh yeah, we probably could. But
He meant after you start, slanging them at about 9.
No, I meant with the
I know what
parade
you
and
meant.
everything.
I know what you meant. All right, this is like post-game talk, so let's go and wrap this up. Yes, a big game tomorrow night, Indiana State. See what happens. Obviously, Ken Palm's got them as the Sycamores at 3-point favorites. I think last I saw was like 2.5 on the spread. So a little extra bulletin board material.
Dog
the
time.
the underdogs, baby. But stay tuned there. All things more coming on BCJ throughout the week. But for my guys, the pals, the crew, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.